Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi, guys. Welcome to episode 325 of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. I'm excited you're here. Now, and I'm not just saying that, I really mean it. Thank you for listening and for making the world better simply by just attempting to be the best version of you. And that's why you're here. I just know it. So I was sitting outside this morning and something very cool happened. I love to be outside in the morning because we back up to trees in a farm, even though we're kind of right in the middle of our town. I feel like I'm immersed in nature. Anyway, so I'm sitting there getting sun on my face and I'm journaling and I see this kind of large movement in the tree and it's slow. So when I focus on it, I see that it's a huge barred owl just hanging out, just sitting there, and he is not one bit concerned about me, which I love so much. He was kind of had his eye on me, like I've got my eye on you, but he was not afraid of me at all, and I love that. But I was journaling and meditating outside so that I could get that morning sun on my face, which it's been shown, studies have shown that to improve your sleep, which I'm all about my sleep now, especially in this world where everything and everyone just kind of seems like we're in a hurry. I don't know about you, but when I'm rushing, I'm stressed. It does seem like we are more in a hurry. Have you ever been in the car and someone is on your tail and they're driving really fast and they zoom around you and all of a sudden you get to the stoplight and there they are right next to you. Nothing gained by their hurrying. Happens a lot. Or maybe you're speeding to work and you're trying to take shortcuts or detours and it just takes longer. Really, statistics do show, because I looked it up. Speeding, if you're on short trips like in the city or like going to work or school or grocery, it's not very effective due to traffic lights and stops. I mean, we're talking like maybe you gain 10 seconds here. And when you consider the risks of an accident or the cost of a ticket, those benefits of the 10 seconds completely disappears. So I think it's the same way for our life. I mean, we're rushing, but it kind of slows us down when we do that. I was rushing the other day to leave the house, and I got in my car to see that I had forgotten my phone and my water bottle in the house. So back up the driveway I go into the house to find it, which I had to hunt for it. All my time saved rushing is gone. And I was stressing so much on top of that. And I think we do that a lot. Whenever you rush something or you take shortcuts, it seems like it takes longer. How about when you're speeding or hurrying on a project and you make tons of mistakes, so now you have to take the time to fix it. If you just slowed down and you were intentional about what you were doing, you'd actually be ahead. Same thing goes for life. I was busier than usual this week with design clients and visiting my sister. So a couple of days a few days, if I'm being honest, I didn't get in my morning routine of meditation and journaling. I just sort of hit the ground running without doing that because my busy mind didn't want me to slow down to take the time. Now, I'm actually glad it happened though, because it taught me a really valuable lesson. I get less done and distract myself more when I tell myself I'm too busy for the things like my meditation and journaling. And the times when I don't take care of my mind, I get less done. So I allowed meditation and journaling to slack for a few days in a row. Here's what I found. I was so much less productive and had more moments of feeling a little bit down or just lethargic because I was being lazy with my mental space. I scrolled a little more on Instagram, which is really interesting to me because if I start, it just seems like it's so addictive that even though I know it's making me feel unproductive and not great, I can't seem to stop. Kind of like if you're not disciplined with chips or sugar. There have been times where I wasn't even hungry, but I just kept eating those cookies or those chips because it tasted so good, knowing I was going to feel bad later. That's how I feel when I consume too much social media. That's also why I try not to get on much more. It's just a time killer for me. Anyway, my point is, my brain said I was too busy to meditate and journal, which I just went along with. But in return, because of that, it was also very distracted and unfocused and a little overwhelmed. And I realized it's because I just let my brain run me when I usually I tell my brain how the day is going to go. When I meditate, that's me letting my brain know I'm in control. It starts the day with me being aware and in control of my thoughts. When I journal, I always journal what I'm grateful for, but also how I'm going to show up that day. So that day, when I do all the good stuff, it starts my day looking for what's good in my life and also being intentional about how I'm going to show up. When I didn't do those things, I was just kind of left to whatever my primitive brain wanted to do. And my primitive brain, it wants to be distracted and worry and think negative thoughts about pretty much everything. The primitive brain is also always looking for danger, not for what's good. So when you live from that space, you're looking out for how people are out to get you or in what ways you need to protect yourself from feeling pain of any sort, which then causes you to want to distract yourself by eating too much or drinking too much or scrolling or consuming whatever it is that you do to distract yourself. And these things slow us way down in a lot of ways. So we think we're too busy to take the time for self-care, but when we don't do the things that make us better, we're spending so much time making up for it. We're living on autopilot, so we're spinning our wheels because our primitive brain is in charge. We're not being intentional about our day. But when we start the day being intentional, we immediately get our intelligent brain awake and in charge, and we allow the primitive brain to just sort of sit back for when we need it, like if we have to avoid hitting a stopped car or go into survival mode for some reason. But we don't want to live our day-to-day lives from that primitive brain. So starting our day with a mindful practice of some sort is so much more productive because we have a plan of how we're going to show up, and we've started the day being intentional, which means we're working from the front of our brain, the intelligent brain. And left on autopilot, though, which basically means just going through the motions of our day without any planning or thought or intentionality, we're at the mercy of whatever our primitive brain allows for, which, like I said earlier, can be most of the time is negative thoughts like worrying about silly things or making up things that other people are thinking, which are never good thoughts coming from the primitive brain because that part of the brain will automatically go negative if it isn't being guided. If you constantly have negative thoughts, you aren't guiding your brain intentionally. You're allowing it to just do what it does, which is go negative. That's how we're hardwired. I wish it wasn't, but I wish we were just hardwired to be happy and healthy. But that comes from being intentional. For most people, it does not happen naturally. Now, I'm naturally good-natured, but as I've gotten older, I've noticed that I really have to work on being intentional, or my thoughts will have me doing things that make me feel lethargic and sluggish, like eating too much or spending too much time on the internet or avoiding the gym. And all that stuff just slows me down. So actually taking the time to be mindful in the morning, even if it's just a few minutes, moves me forward in a positive way. So when you slow down, you actually can speed up. And that starts over every single day. So question, are you starting your day from your primitive brain or from your intelligent brain? When one is working, the other isn't working so much. So how would you know which one you're working from? Well, if the first thing you do when you wake up is scroll on your phone, that's the primitive brain. If the first thing you do is start running through the tons of things you have to accomplish today and how you don't have enough time, that's the primitive brain. If the first thing you do is have negative thoughts about everyone and everything, that's the primitive brain. So how do you shut off that primitive brain and work from the intelligent brain? Well, by doing the things that I talked about earlier, being mindful, and it doesn't take that long. For me, at least journaling 3 things that I'm grateful for. Just write it down on a piece of paper or have a little journal next to your bed or where you have your coffee. And then write down 3 ways of how you're going to show up that day. For me, I kind of like to generally include being intentional and being present and being curious. Things like that. But maybe instead of being curious, yours could be you want to be aware that day. Being aware allows you to notice any negative thoughts that you're having so that you can flip them around. So imagine a day where you're intentional, so you don't just pass the laundry sitting in the basket, you put it away. You're not scrolling on your phone when you're with your partner and kids, so you're present. And you're aware of any negative thoughts, so you quickly flip them to something that serves you. How much more would you get done and how much better would you feel? You would get ahead simply by slowing things down. My challenge to you today is to ask yourself that question. Am I starting my day from my primitive brain or from my intelligent brain? It probably won't be very hard to figure out. I know for me it's not. Share this with 3 people that you love. And I love you guys. I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together. And I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.